Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into how space travel will actually work in Starfield. Also, based on my analysis of the video, it seems like you will be pressing a button to fast travel and land on the planet, then a cutscene will be played when you land. You won't actually be able to enter the atmosphere and land on the planet yourself. I'll talk about why I've made that observation towards the end of the video, and what you can expect from Todd Howard's comment of there being 100 solar systems and over 1,000 planets to explore. Obviously many of these will be procedurally generated, but just how many tailor-made experiences can we expect on these planets? What will be the gameplay on these planets? And what will be the actual reason that you'll be bothered or want to visit these empty planets, which probably will exist? And in short, I think we can think of all of these planets as locations in any Bethesda game. So for example, in Fallout 4, you have a location, you might go and visit that location, and inside a building, you'll spend like 10 to 20 minutes exploring it and looting it. These planets are going to be the same, and there's 1,000 of them. So just like in the gameplay we were shown in Crete, you're going to land on these planets, and there might be just one thing, one piece of interest that you go and explore and loot, and then you just leave the planet, because that's kind of what space is like. The game is set in 2030, so this isn't like Earth where we've had thousands of years to populate the entire world. This is space, you know. There's a few people who have visited some planets and built some kind of civilization that's isolated from the rest of the planet. And I think it's quite realistic in that sense. But the big concern for everyone is we don't want to end up sort of visiting planets that have absolutely nothing on. There's no reason to be there. So I hope this video kind of explains what I think the space exploration gameplay will be, how the mechanics of it will work, how you'll be landing your ship, and all of these different things. I've got timestamps below so you can skip ahead to the parts of the video that interest you most. Please do drop a like though, because it helps support me and push these videos out to other people. Starting out here, we have the galaxy map of all of the different systems that we can then zoom in on, including our own solar system. We're even later shown a little Easter egg of the Mars rover on Mars, which suggests we can, yes, visit our own solar system, though we don't know what's become of Earth and if it exists anymore. There's probably a story behind that. And when you hover over a particular system, you'll get a bunch of information about that system. You can see how many planets there are and how many moons are orbiting that planet. And then they're orbiting this central star here. And we have the temperature, mass, radius, magnitude, and the number of planets and number of moons here. And also, if you had built any outposts at this location, it would tell you how many you've built there. Now, if we zoom in again to the Alpha Centauri solar system, we can see central star and the planets surrounding it and the moons that then surround those planets. And we get even some icons specifically on some of the areas of interest. You can also see above my head on the top right that it is owned by the United Colonies faction, which is one of the biggest factions in Starfield. You can also see on the top left what planet we're currently stationed at. Now if we take a closer look at Jemison, you can see we've currently explored 50% of it. It's made out of rock, the gravity is 0.91, so it's almost like Earth. It has a temperate climate, an oxygen atmosphere, and it's abundant in fauna and flora and also biological water. We can also scan the planet as well to get more information about it. Now currently we are in the city of New Atlantis. You'll also see an option here to land at that location, which I'll talk more about later, actually landing your ship and how that may work. But as we zoom back out to the solar system, you can actually see there's a point of interest just outside of the planet itself. And I don't know if this is supposed to be a potential space station or like an asteroid of particular interest, but it seems like around this whole map there's points of interest that are pointed out to the player. So you won't just be going to a planet that may be void of any life or anything. You'll be going particularly to these points of interest because there'll be something exciting to find there. And Bethesda has purposely pointed these out to the player, so you're not running around, I guess, boring procedurally generated planets, which probably do exist among the 1,000 planets created. One particular icon of interest is the space station that's orbiting this moon just over here. Now during the gameplay we can see that space stations do indeed exist and they are orbiting different planets and moons. Now, while this screenshot isn't a space station per se, it is really exciting because it confirms that you can indeed board other people's ships. But as you can see, the ship is currently docked underneath a bigger ship, even your own ship perhaps. You can also press Y to unlock your ship, so I guess to depart. You can press B to get up. Now, I believe that means if you just get out of your seat and walk around your own ship, or alternatively, you can press X to board, which means you would, go through that pipe into the other ship, and then you can explore their ship as well. And I really hope that means you can hold up other ships or even steal other ships. We also get confirmation of 0G space fights, which clearly are taking part in the space stations or even other people's ships, I assume. Now, if we zoom into some of these other planets in the Alpha Centauri system, like Gagarin, you can see that it picks out two particular locations. One said structure. Now, I don't know if structure means that you yourself have built an outpost there, or I think more likely a structure might just be some kind of location that is on that planet that you can go and visit. It may be a cave or a man-made structure of some kind. But instead of you just randomly landing somewhere on what is a colossal huge planet, Bethesda say, hey, look, there's a specific location at this location on the planet, and you just go and land there specifically. You can land anywhere else on the planet, but you'd probably be wasting your time because there'd just be a barren wasteland with not a lot to find there, because I guess that's what space is like. And on the other side here, we see there is actually another location on this planet, though we don't know what it is. We can't actually make it out in the video. Now, instead of going through the atmosphere of the planet and landing yourself on the planet, it seems that every time we see our spaceship land, that there's going to be this cutscene, and you'll see it come through the atmosphere and actually land on its own, and you have these different camera angles of it landing. So I'm assuming that it just kind of takes you through this loading screen of loading the entire planet and the area that you're landing on, instead of the entire world around you, because that's usually how Bethesda's games work. But we get this exact same cutscene every time we land. Then obviously once you land on the planet, you are free to explore with your companion that you've taken with you. And we also see the same thing whenever you're taking off from a planet. You see this same cutscene. No matter where you've landed on the planet, this is the takeoff cutscene, and then it cuts to you being in space, and you can then start exploring space. And these cutscenes may vary between taking off and landing, but it seems like there's definitely going to be a loading screen instead of you landing physically yourself on the planet. Now, one of the reasons I'm pretty sure about this is because if you look at this gameplay shot I'm about to show you, you'll see a spaceship appear just from over here in the distance. It will appear like it's just come through the atmosphere or jumped into existence after traveling, I guess, beyond the speed of light, because it wasn't visible until it jumped into your area of space. So if I press play, so you can see there's the flash and then a ship appears. So you can see after the flash, that ship appears, and then there's another flash here, and another one appears. And you can see he jumps into first person, and that ship appears out of nowhere. So you're now under attack, and you're in this space engagement, this dogfight in space, which looks awesome, by the way. Now, Todd Howard also said during the presentation that there were going to be over 100 systems and 1,000 planets within those systems, and the only way they can possibly do this is using procedural generation. So a lot of the landscape on many of these 1,000 planets will be procedurally generated. Now, don't get me wrong, Bethesda has definitely built handmade cities and locations within these planets that you will be able to explore, and I'm sure they'll be very exciting. Now I'm going to explain what I think the gameplay of these lesser barren landscape planets are going to be that are procedurally generated. So Todd Howard describes Chihuahua, I don't know how you say it, I'm dyslexic, sorry if I'm mispronouncing things. He describes it as a barren ice landscape. So there's nothing there, and as you can see, fauna and flora-wise, it's void of anything. The atmosphere is CO2, it's just a frozen ice landscape. However, water-wise, it has heavy metals, so it's probably going to be, as he says, resource abundant. So when you first land on one of these planets, you come into the first-person view, and as you can see, you scan the environment. So basically, the gameplay on these lesser planets is to survey 100% of them and find all the resources that are available on the planet, and ones you might want to come back, build an outpost for, and then get your NPC crew members to just sit there and continuously harvest a particular resource on that planet, and then you can just come back in your spaceship, pick up the resource, then go and sell it somewhere else, or even use it on another planet where you're currently building something. So you can set up almost like these mining operations, it seems, on these resource abundant planets, and that seems to be the entire point of, I'm sure, the majority of them. But the minigame you do is going around and finding what resources are on that particular planet. Now, interestingly, the scan range is 50 meters. As you watch the gameplay, we then find this cave which has the iron resource in, and if you then pause it here, I don't know if they activated God mode, but the scan range has suddenly increased to 1,000 meters. And as you can see, it's not changed the amount of resources that are discoverable. But, you know, clearly when you're landing on these planets, you'll probably land at a specific location, you'll scan that area, but then you might have to like fly to the other side and scan that area and so on. And I'm sure there's going to be devices and outposts and equipment that you can build. Like, for example, even on your ship, you can actually scan the planet from your ship to get a better understanding of what resources might be there. And I'm sure as you improve your gear, it will be easier to scan these planets and find out what resources you need and where you can get them. But as I said at the start of the video, these are whole planets. Like, I'm pretty sure they're probably bigger than Skyrim in landmass. Like, if you were to walk round this planet in a circle, I wonder how long it would take you, because you cannot see the horizons. It's probably going to take you quite a while to do that. And that's actually where I think the HUD comes into play, because you can actually see the oxygen amount you have remaining in your suit compared to CO2. So this is basically stopping you from being like, I'm just going to walk in that direction for as long as I can until I run out of oxygen. Now, my personal opinion about this situation with there being all of these planets that aren't all going to be tailor-made, because yes, that would be impossible, is I think as long as, you know, the main story and all the side quests lead me on all these exciting adventures with what we expect from Bethesda games, which is interesting, exciting locations, I don't really mind if there's 500 other planets that are just empty and barren wastelands that if I want to go to and build an outpost, I can, but they don't really interfere with my gameplay. I think the concern could be that you end up wandering into these planets hoping to find something exciting, but there is just nothing there. And I think, you know, beyond obviously finding the fauna, maybe some cool dinosaurs or animals you've not experienced or seen yet, that could be exciting. But I think beyond that, there's not like a hidden cave or location or thing that you'll come across. But if we look at these as the idea that they could be locations from any Bethesda game where you'll spend 10 to 20 minutes exploring each one of them and seeing if there is anything cool there, then I think that could be quite compelling. There just needs to be a reason for me to want to explore them beyond I'm going to harvest some resources from all these planets, and that's the only reason they exist, is resource harvesting. I think a lot of people got a little bit burnt out on Fallout 4 settlement system because it took up a lot of locations in the game that you could just build a settlement, whereas here it feels like, hey look, you can just build one anywhere, and there's lots of land we've given you to do that. And I think but we won't know until the game comes out. It's all speculation at this point, so I'm going to reserve judgment before I get worried and concerned, because I'll be buying this game anyway. Bethesda won't be sending me a press copy. They haven't in the last several years since Fallout 76. So I'll be buying it as one of you guys and experiencing it on day one and live streaming it and giving you my opinions. And I'm genuinely excited. Like, I feel like this is a background thing that worries people, but it's not going to be the be-all and end-all of the game experience. But I think it's going to be something a lot of people focus on, I'll tell you that. And you can see that from how all of the news outlets are reacting to this one little piece of information and how it's concerned everyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you want to check out my video on character creation, it's linked down below. The one for weapon, base building, and spaceship crafting is